Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 44, which I'm calling What's Next? Update from my oncologist. Now you'll also see behind me, I got these amazing balloons yesterday. Who knew you could get a ring the bell? Balloons with the, you can see the breast cancer symbol. So obviously finished last chemo yesterday. So my friends from work sent me these great balloons, which was just awesome and a really nice surprise as well for end of chemo. But I did see Dr. Solanka yesterday afternoon. So that was a good appointment. Derek came with me to that one. So I learned a little bit yesterday. So that was really good. So he's thinking radiation will be about 3 weeks after surgery. Now my surgery's on the 6th of May, so about 3 or 4 weeks away. I asked a lot of questions around how much, how often, timeline, blah, blah, blah. And he basically said, Narelle, the pathology at surgery is the thing that would dictate what happens next. So have to have the surgery first. He looks at everything from the surgery and then comes up with the plan on how to treat it. And there were a number of reasons for that, which were quite surprising. Now, one thing he did say, because my sister did ask me to check on my bloods, and he said my bloods are excellent and almost like non-cancer type of bloods. However, last time he told me that, my immunity took a big dip the next time, so I'm not trusting it. But no, it was good news as well. So obviously I'm not being impacted too badly. So that's really, really good. When I was in chemo yesterday, I was talking to the lady opposite me, and I said that I was triple negative. And she gave me this look like, oh, you poor thing, that's so bad. And I said, I didn't think that was bad. I thought it was actually the most common. So I asked Dr. Solanka that, because I said, she looked at me like I was about to die. And he said, no, it is the most aggressively growing breast cancer. So I vaguely remember him saying that right at the beginning, but you're trying to process so much information you forget. So it's not that it's problematic, but it can just be your sneaky grower. So he wasn't too concerned about it. But just remembering back, and he talked about this as well, I had a slightly positive progesterone on the three things that they check, but it wasn't enough for it to be a progesterone positive, which is why I got treated as triple negative. Now, the one thing he said to me, however, is chemo can mix everything up. So that's one of the pathology things he'll look for to see whether my positive progesterone has gotten any higher, because that will then make me negative, positive, negative. So requiring a slightly different treatment to triple negative. So that was really interesting to learn. I didn't realize that could change. But basically, I'm not going to really know the next steps until after surgery, which for a control freak like me is really, really annoying. But I'm actually not too bad with it. We talked about things like, my friend Vonnie went on chemo tablets. He said, oh, it's a possibility, but it's not something he's sort of thinking about at the moment. Again, Narelle, wait till the surgery happens. He did say that some cases have more chemo as well, but he said looking at my results, he doesn't think that was the case either. So they really do just get in there and zap absolutely everything. And that was probably then an answer I got back on my next question, which was, well, why do you do surgery, and particularly double mastectomy with reconstruction, before you do radiation? Because you sort of think, oh, is the radiation going to wreck the reconstruction that happens? But what he said was, when they do the surgery, they basically disrupt the cancer when they're taking it out, and they send out these nano cancers, really, really tiny. So having the radiation after surgery makes sure that you actually get any sneaky buggers that are really tiny and may have been released because of the surgery. So that was really reassuring, that the radiation sort of then is your last line of defense, just in case anything sneaks through. Because you sort of think in your mind it's ductal, it's contained, but no, it can be disrupted. The other question my dad wanted to ask was, when's my next PET scan? Now, this was interesting because he basically said, look, you may not have one. The first one was really clear that it hadn't spread anywhere. And I suppose once you have chemo, you'd think that it's not going to spread anywhere. But the one thing he said is, think of a PET scan as Chernobyl. It's radiation, and it basically has an impact on your body. He said they try to avoid having PET scans because of that fact. So that was really interesting. Certainly don't want to go through Chernobyl if I don't have to. But obviously the PET scan is, again, a bit of a, not guarantee, but a bit of a safeguard that it hasn't gone anywhere else, even after chemo, because that's what you sort of worry once you've got cancer in your body. Is it actually going to reappear somewhere else? But as we know, it's an atypical thing, so it's already treated pending skin cancers for me. I did say to Dr. Solanka, it'd be great to just have chemo once a year, just to zap everything and make sure we keep it away. He thought that was a good idea. Possibly because he would have been ordering a Lamborghini if that happened to all his, no, I'm just kidding, his patients. I asked him whether I could go off the pregnancy diet, and he sort of rolled his eyes and said, I don't know why people are still saying that this is a thing. He said that was like a 1950s treatment. And if you think about, how the hygiene standards and the food safety standards have changed, it means it is much safer now. So, his thing was you probably didn't need to go on it at all, but one of the things he keeps saying is everything in moderation. So I don't think I'm going to be rushing back to huge amounts of soft cheese and raw food, but it is something that I don't have to worry about. So, for example, we had lamb chops the other night, and I liked them quite on the pink side, and I've had to, I thought I had to have them well done. So now I don't have to worry about that as much, but still keeping the food standards up around the house too, which probably everybody should do. I did ask him about travel, because remember he said to me, don't be an hour away from the hospital just in case anything happens, but that was really chemo related, so I can travel. Obviously surgery and things like that will restrict what I can do, but so that was good as well. I then asked him about other doctors I should be seeing. So, because I'd broken 2 toes, one of them was whether I should get a bone density check, which he thought was a great idea. So I'm booked in for that next week. And as he said, if there's something comes through from that that's chemo or cancer related, it gets tied up in that whole treatment. So I don't know what that means, but let's see what my bone density comes back with. Colonoscopy is another one that they recommend I do as well. So I'm booked in for that for the 1st of May. So a few little procedures around there, just having both of them done before surgery, because it just makes sure that there's nothing else going on that's going to impact, a surgery that's a longer time span. Ophthalmologist is the other one I will see. My vision is really, really impacted, and I'm just noticing that the skin on my eyes are losing elasticity, and they're sort of pulling down on my eyes. I feel like I have to go like this to be able to see, and it's really hard to see, particularly in the morning. And I had a look at photos before I started chemo to now, and they just look very, very different. So I've got this functional visual impairment that's worrying me. I said to Dr. Solanka, I said, is this going to fix after I stop chemo? And he gave me the most nervous looking yes ever. So I don't actually think that's right. So I will ask the plastic guy about that, and ask my ophthalmologist as well if there's anything I can do about it, because it's irritating my eye. As I said, I have to blink all the time to refocus. And when I spoke to my friend Robin, she talked to me about how chemo works. She's a scientist, and she said chemo targets your fastest dividing cells. So skin is certainly one of those. It's also the answer as to why it doesn't attack your brain or your eyeballs, because they don't divide as much, maybe once or twice a year. So that's why they're safe with the chemo, which is a really interesting thing to know. So I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, that was good to know. Thanks, Robbie. And podiatrist is the other one I will see, because I still have the neuropathy in my feet a little bit. So that's basically the update. End of chemo, I've been thinking about that. A lot of my friends asked me whether I cried. A lot of them said when they saw the video they cried, but no, it was just like a process for me. And I think it's because I still don't identify as having cancer. When I tell people, I say I was diagnosed. I don't say I have, because I just don't feel sick. I've said that through the whole thing, so it's weird. And even the nurses, the chemo nurses, said you just breeze through. compartmentalizing. For me, it's a bit of a tick the box exercise. And I'm probably more sad it's over than relieved. I don't know, it's really, really weird because it was such a big part of my life for about 22 weeks or something like that. So anyway, it is good. It's done. Got my balloons. So next week I'll see Dr. Sheena, who's the plastics guy, just to get all the options around what type of reconstruction. I think I know in my head, but it's mainly from talking to people. Now I need to go to the medical professionals and actually lock something in. That's Monday. And then on Thursday I'll see Dr. Diviana to then make all the final decisions. So that's where I'm at, but I'm going to have quite a few updates now that I seem to be seeing doctors and things are moving quickly again. So I'll give you an update next week, probably at the end of next week when I've seen both Dr. Sheena and Dr. Diviana, and you'll know more then. So thank you. See you later.